This is the Tivo Edge DVR 4 antenna. In this video we will unbox it, connect it to the TV and set it up, and then briefly show you how it works. It's a well thought out and sophisticated DVR with many great features, as you can see on screen. However, the commercial skip and the onboard streaming apps may not meet your expectations. So be sure to watch the video to the end and I'll explain why. Now while you watch me unbox the unit, I'm going to share some of its features and maybe answer some of your unanswered questions. Some of the video will be fast forwarded to speed things up though. This model has 2 tuners and a built-in 500 gig hard drive, which will store about 75 hours of HD content. It will record 4K shows as well, but it certainly won't hold 75 hours of 4K. You can divide that by half or better. It's also important to remember that this unit is for antenna use only, over the air. It will not work with your cable service. They do make another model just for cable. Do you need internet? Well, remember that it has streaming apps like Netflix and Hulu on board, and you're going to need internet to use those, and also for your 2-week all-in channel subscription guide. In addition to your manual and the DVR itself, there are some other goodies in the box. Accessories include your power cord, a remote with 2 batteries, and a 4K UHD HDMI cord. It has a full-featured remote that also controls your TV. It doesn't have to be pointed directly at the TV to work, but sadly, it's not backlit. Now remember that no free guide comes with this DVR. You can save some money though by pre-purchasing the all-in lifetime subscription guide directly from Tivo or Channel Master when you buy the DVR. And I'll put a link for those 2 places in the video description. Now if you didn't pre-purchase the guide, you can still buy it outright, and you may want to go to tivo.com and check out the prices. Now if you look at your startup guide, you'll see that there's 4 separate steps to setting up this DVR, and I'm going to walk you through those next. But first, I'd appreciate it if you go below and like our video, consider subscribing to my channel, and be sure to ring that notification bell. Step 1 is to activate your Tivo service. Now if you've pre-purchased, as I did, the all-in guide subscription, you may be able to skip this step. I bought mine from Channel Master, which is a part of Tivo, and they sent me this note telling me I can do just that. Now if you're not pre-registered, look at step 1 in your setup manual. You'll need to find the 15-digit Tivo service number either on the side of the box or on the bottom of the DVR. You have the option of scanning the QR code with your phone and going to tivo.com/activate, or you can just call customer support at 877-367-8486. Now this is the back of the unit with all your inputs and outputs. And first one I'm going to do is the RF cable here for your antenna wire. Okay. Now with a thread on, you may just have a push-on connector, which is quicker, but it's not as sure a connection. I like to do this. Next we'll hook up the HDMI. It goes right here. Now you might need to hook up an Ethernet cable if you're going to go directly to your router or modem. They didn't include one, and I'm not going to do that today because I'm going to hook mine up via wireless. And finally we'll hook up our power. Now this is your basic setup. This will work. This is really all you need to do to watch television. This one's a digital audio or optical output. I'm going to hook one of those cords up here because I'm going to go to my receiver with that because I can get Dolby sound on this unit. Now there's just a button right here, and that's to aid you in refining your remote should you misplace it. And finally you have these 2 USBs. So that's our setup. Well, let's turn it around and turn it on. The next step is to use the on-screen guide to set up the DVR. Now make sure you're on the right input. If you are, this is what you should see. Plan on 30 minutes plus for the setup process. The setup is really pretty straightforward. You'll need to select your country, agree to terms of service, enter your postal code for the USA, and select antenna. Now select your internet type, and if wireless, you'll have to punch in your password. Things really slow down though when you get to the Tivo connection screen. This can take 5 minutes or so. And that's because they're downloading your subscription, your settings, and so forth. So just be patient here. If you successfully completed step 1, you should be able just to click OK on the Tivo service required screen. If you didn't do step 1, be sure to follow the instructions on the screen here. Now you can name your DVR, and then the next step is another time-consuming one because it's going to download all your available local channels with sufficient signal strength from your antenna. You'll be able to hide the channels you don't want to receive later. Now we're downloading the program info, and this can take up to 20 minutes. And finally, you can click the Tivo button on your remote, and in 8 or 10 seconds, you should see the Tivo home screen. And indeed, here it is. The last step is to program your remote so that it will control your TV. So be sure to install the batteries in your remote. Now here's the path. We're going to go to Menu, then Settings, then Remote and Devices, Remote Control Setup, TV Power, Volume, and Mute. Now you can scroll down and find your brand of TV. And you can use the channel buttons here to advance a whole page at a time. Now you'll notice at the top of the page it gives you the remote codes for your TV. Mine only has 3. So hold down the TV power button and the Tivo button simultaneously until the light on the top of the remote comes on. Now punch in your first code. To test it, press your power button. If the TV goes off, it's programmed. And mine was successful with the first code I punched in. But before you're too satisfied with your success, I would click the power button again, make sure the TV comes on, then make sure that your mute button, your volume button, and etc. works. If not, go back in and use the next code. So now we're connected and set up. Now this is live TV. To bring up your menu, simply click the Tivo button at the top of your remote. Now like most DVRs, you can record directly from your search engine or from your 2-week programming guide. And in either place you have the option of making a series recording with one pass or just taping a single show. One pass has a number of options, my favorite being the ability to limit the number of shows you tape, and this saves space on your hard drive. You can also program it to only record new episodes. That way you don't have to page through and delete all of those old reruns. If you set up an individual recording from the search screen, it will also let you know if it's available on streaming apps. And if you click directly on the app icon, it will take you directly into it. Or you can scroll down to the record episode prompt, and it will schedule the show from your antenna network. To see all of my recordings, I can click the Tivo button and go to My Shows. And here's the complete list of all my recordings. If you selected streaming videos from the One Pass feature, it will list a link here on your My Shows, and it'll take you directly into the app. But it does not actually record the show. You can only record from your antenna. Now this is what to watch, and it just gives you suggestions on shows that you might be interested in. Now Tivo Plus is actually basically a streaming app. And it's arranged in a live format. You'll notice you've got 7 p.m., 7:30, so you can only really watch what's on right now. But there's a number of apps here on the side that have been incorporated into this. It's kind of a nice feature. So remember I mentioned earlier that you might be disappointed with the streaming apps. Well, they do have some major apps like Netflix, Prime, Vudu, and YouTube. But noticeably missing are Hulu, Sling, and the HBO Plus that they advertise on the box. Also, there's no app store like a Roku or a Fire Stick would have. So you can only add apps if and when Tivo makes them available. Now this sounds bad, but remember the primary function of this device is to record shows from your antenna. And many DVRs don't have apps at all. So just think of this as a little bonus. So now let's talk about Quick Skip, or it's actually the commercial skip feature. When it engages, you'll see like 2 seconds of commercials instead of 5 minutes. Let's go look at my recorded shows. You'll notice that a few of the shows have the word skip written beside the recording. And indeed, commercial skip will work on these shows. If it doesn't have the skip though, it's not going to work. And you'll have to fast forward manually through all the commercials. I didn't anticipate this when I bought the machine. I assumed that they would all have commercial skip on them, but that's certainly not the case. Skip mode is mainly available on certain primetime and weekend shows like sporting events, and only on the major networks. I understand that they're working to improve this feature, so this may improve with time. If you go to settings, you can have the skip mode automatically skip through the commercials. Now, if you set it to manual, you will have to push the skip button on the remote every time a commercial starts. Okay, we've hit the highlights, but I'm not really going to have time to cover all of the features. I mean, there's voice assistant, parental controls, ability to watch on mobile devices, and so on. But now I said mobile devices. Remember that if you're going to watch TV in other rooms away from your main set, you'll have to have a Tivo Mini for each additional TV set. So what do I think of this DVR? Well, before I answer that question, let me say that I am not being compensated by Tivo or by Channel Master in any way to make this video, okay? Now during setup, the Tivo loaded all of my local channels that were available in this area without a hitch. It also has the ability, like most DVRs, to hide the channels that you don't want to watch, so you don't have to see 90 channels on your guide. The picture and the audio were both quite good. I like the way the One Search and the One Pass works for recording and search flexibility, and I like the integration of the streaming apps with the over-the-air antenna shows in your search engine. The bi-weekly programming guide is quite usable, and it doesn't have gaps in it like my old DVR did. My old DVR went on a lot of the shows, it would just say, to be announced. So you had no clue what you were watching. And absolutely, my only real disappointment with this DVR is the commercial skip feature, and that it won't skip on every single show. Now, the other thing I mentioned was the limited streaming apps, which is not a big deal to us. We're dedicated streamers. About 80% of our TV watching is streaming. However, we watch ours on an Amazon Fire Stick, which is a dedicated unit just for that purpose. And we have unlimited apps. If you're an avid streamer like us, you may consider buying one. I'll put a link in the description for an Amazon Fire Stick. So in summation, I'm going to give this DVR a thumbs up. That's all like just about everything about it, of course, except that commercial skip. Well, folks, that's going to do it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's been helpful to you. So until next time, thanks for watching.